Welcome to another deep dive, and today we're going way out there to the future of humanity. We're going to explore how human values might change radically in the coming decades.
It's really fascinating to think about.
Yeah, so think about this. Imagine a world where you could join like a neural network with your family
Yeah.
and experience each other's thoughts and emotions directly.
It is a big shift from how we view ourselves and the world today. Like it's not flying cars. We're talking about like a potential transformation of consciousness, relationships, what it means to be human, you know?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's unpack that a little.
Yeah.
One of the most mind-blowing ideas I think that we came across in the research was how technology like brain-computer interfaces could blur the lines between individual minds.
Exactly.
Like.
You start with just simple things like controlling a prosthetic limb with your thoughts. But then as BCIs evolve, we could see direct connections between minds, almost like a neural network of families or close friends constantly sharing experiences.
So instead of texting my mom to see how she's doing, I could just like, I don't know, tap into her emotions directly.
In a way, yeah. I mean, it could lead to incredible levels of empathy and understanding. Like, imagine experiencing the world through your loved one's senses, feeling their joy or their pain as if it was your own.
Hmm,
It could revolutionize how we connect and care for each other.
that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But also, wouldn't that challenge our sense of individual identity? Like, where does one mind end and another begin?
It's a really crucial question. I mean, the concept of I could become more of a we. As those individual boundaries soften, we might see a rise in collective decision making, shared memories, even a blurring of personal responsibility. So it really challenges us to rethink what it means to be an individual in a deeply interconnected world.
It's almost like a hive mind, but with like way more emotional depth and complexity.
Oh, right. It's a fascinating possibility. But it also raises concerns about privacy and autonomy. How do you protect individual thoughts and experiences within a shared mental network? And what happens when technology allows us to create entirely new forms of identity separate from our physical bodies?
They're talking about digital personas, like our online profiles becoming so advanced that they develop their own sense of self.
Exactly.
Wow.
What if your digital persona, shaped by your data and online interactions, gained its own rights and began to influence society independently? It's a pretty radical concept, but it highlights how technology could redefine not just who we are, but um, what constitutes a person in the future.
That's a lot to process.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got potentially merging minds and digital personas with rights.
Mhm.
What about love and relationships?
Right.
Surely those won't escape untouched in this future.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where things get really, really intriguing. Imagine a world where AI companions become so sophisticated they offer not just functional help, but deep emotional connection.
Wait, are we talking about robot romance? Like falling in love with an algorithm?
It might not be about roses and candlelight dinners, but think about it. An AI companion designed to like understand your emotional needs perfectly. Someone who complements your personality and shares your interests without the complexities and challenges of human interaction. It could be incredibly appealing to some.
Yeah, I guess in a world where people are already forming like strong bonds with their virtual assistants, I don't know, it's not that far-fetched. But wouldn't that challenge traditional ideas about love and partnership? Like,
Absolutely. Monogamy, marriage, these concepts might become outdated as people explore different forms of connection, including those with AI. We might see a rise in fluid partnerships, multi-partner arrangements, even communal living becoming more common.
so yeah, the classic nuclear family might become just one option among many, with people choosing the relationship models that best fit their needs and values.
Exactly. And it raises all sorts of questions about how we define intimacy, commitment, and even the purpose of family in a future where technology offers such diverse options for connection.
And speaking of options, what about all the stuff that fills our lives? Homes, cars, clothes, will we even own things in the future?
That's another area ripe for transformation. Imagine a world where you subscribe to everything. Instead of buying a car, you subscribe to a transportation service that provides the perfect vehicle for your needs whenever you need it.
So instead of a closet full of clothes, I'd have a fashion subscription that sends me the latest styles. And instead of owning a house, I'd subscribe to a living space that adapts to my changing needs.
Exactly. It's about shifting from ownership to access, having everything you need without the burden of maintenance, storage, or waste.
It sounds appealing, especially for someone who hates clutter. But wouldn't that lead to like a less materialistic society?
Potentially, yes. The emphasis might shift from owning things to having experiences. constantly upgrading and evolving your lifestyle through subscriptions. Social status might come from your knowledge, your skills, or the richness of your experiences rather than how many gadgets you own.
I can already see the social media posts.
Okay.
Just upgraded my virtual reality travel subscription, experiencing the Amazon rainforest from my living room.
Right.
Yeah.
It highlights how technology could reshape not just our material possessions, but how we define success and fulfillment. It's about valuing access, adaptability, and experiences over static ownership.
Okay, so we've covered some pretty radical shifts in consciousness, relationships, and even um, our relationship to material possessions. What's next on this wild ride through the future of human values?
Well, buckle up because we're about to explore a world where psychedelics and other consciousness-altering substances become mainstream.
Wait, seriously, are we talking about like microdosing before board meetings?
Not quite, but imagine a future where the therapeutic potential of psychedelics is fully embraced. We're talking about clinics where guided psychedelic sessions are used to treat trauma, anxiety, depression, even help people unlock creative potential.
So instead of prescribing antidepressants, a doctor might recommend a guided psilocybin experience.
Exactly. The focus shifts from suppressing symptoms to addressing the root causes of mental and emotional distress. It's about using these powerful substances in a safe and controlled setting to facilitate healing and personal growth.
And what about like recreational use? Would magic mushrooms become as common as a Friday night beer?
That's a possibility too. We might see government-regulated psychedelic cafes where people can responsibly explore altered states of consciousness, perhaps even for spiritual growth or simply to enhance social connection and creativity.
Wow, that's a huge shift from the stigma that surrounds psychedelics today.
It is, and it
Yeah.
points to a potential future where values around mental well-being, emotional openness, and even spirituality become even more central to human experience.
Okay, so we've got merging minds, robot romances, subscription living, and now mainstream psychedelic therapy. Um, I'm almost afraid to ask, but what else could possibly change in the future?
Well, how about the very reality we experience? Get ready to step into a world where augmented and virtual realities become seamlessly integrated into daily life.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Imagine working from home, but instead of staring at a laptop screen, you're in a virtual office space, collaborating with colleagues from around the world in a 3D environment tailored to your preferences.
No more Zoom fatigue. I'm already sold.
Exactly. And think about how this could transform social interactions. Attending a virtual concert where you can control the ambiance, the crowd size, even the music genre to perfectly suit your mood. Or imagine immersive educational experiences that transport you to ancient Rome or the depths of the ocean.
It's like curating your own reality. But what happens when you can filter out all the noise and only interact with people or experiences that perfectly align with your preferences?
That's one of the big questions we'll have to grapple with. It raises fascinating and potentially concerning questions about authenticity, empathy, and the importance of engaging with diverse perspectives.
Right. It's like, do we risk becoming so absorbed in our like personalized virtual worlds that we lose touch with the shared reality that connects us as humans?
That's a crucial consideration, and it's something we'll need to address as these technologies become more powerful and pervasive.
This is all pretty mind-blowing. So much could change in the coming years from how we think and connect to how we live and experience the world. It's both exciting and a bit daunting.
It is. But it's important to remember that the future isn't predetermined. It's shaped by the choices we make today. By exploring these potential futures, we can start to ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want to create? What values do we want to prioritize?
Great point. So let's continue this exploration and see what other potential changes lie ahead.
And as we kind of delve deeper into this future, we encounter like another realm that's ripe for transformation. The world of biotechnology, where the lines between biology and technology start to like dissolve.
Yeah, this is where science fiction starts to feel like a possible reality, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about like gene editing, designer babies,
Yeah.
even creating entirely new life forms.
Precisely. What begins with the CRISPR technology correcting genetic diseases could evolve into something much more elective. Like, imagine parents being able to choose certain traits for their children, enhancing intelligence, physical abilities, even predispositions for creativity.
So it's like building a custom character in a video game, but for your actual child.
Yeah.
I can see the appeal, but it raises like so many questions. Are we playing God? What about the potential for inequality if only like some have access to these enhancements?
You've hit on some really crucial points. This technology could reshape what it means to be human. challenging our understanding of natural selection and even the concept of a level playing field. It really compels us to consider the ethical implications and potential societal ramifications very carefully.
Yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around. Yeah. And speaking of pushing boundaries, what about synthetic life forms? Are we talking about lab-grown pets or like bioengineered creatures solving environmental problems?
Both are possibilities. Imagine bioengineered algae that clean up pollution, custom designed bacteria that create sustainable fuels, or even entire ecosystems of synthetic organisms designed to restore damaged environments. It's about harnessing the power of biology to address some of our, most pressing challenges.
It's like stepping into a whole new era of like ecological engineering, right? Using nature's building blocks to create solutions we can only dream of today.
And this brings us to another fascinating shift in values, expanding our circle of moral consideration beyond humans to include all sentient beings.
Wait, are we talking about like giving rights to robots and animals? That sounds like something straight out of like a science fiction novel.
It may sound radical, but as AI becomes more sophisticated and we learn more about animal consciousness, the lines between species could become less defined. What if certain animals, or even highly advanced AI, were granted legal protections based on their capacity for self-awareness, emotions, and suffering?
It challenges us to, I guess, redefine what it means to be uh, deserving of moral consideration. Would sentience become the new standard, regardless of species or origin?
That's a really profound question, and it could revolutionize everything from animal agriculture to the development of AI. Imagine a world where lab-grown meat replaces factory farms,
Right.
and AI is designed not just for efficiency, but for ethical coexistence with humanity.
Yeah, it suggests a future where our values are rooted in like a deep respect for all forms of sentient life, right? Recognizing the interconnectedness of all living things.
Exactly, and that interconnectedness extends to our relationship with the planet itself. The same values that drive us to create ethical AI could also push us towards more sustainable practices, like
Mhm.
transitioning to renewable energy sources and embracing circular economies.
So no more reliance on fossil fuels or like wasteful consumption. What would that look like in a practical sense?
Imagine cities powered by a mix of local solar, wind, and advanced energy storage solutions. We could become energy independent, with neighborhoods generating and sharing their own power, creating resilient and decentralized energy systems.
So instead of relying on like big power plants, we'd have these localized energy grids, kind of like mini power stations in every community. It's like taking control of our energy future from the ground up.
Precisely. And individuals could become quote unquote prosumers, producing their own energy and even selling excess back to the grid. It's a future where energy is seen not just as a commodity, but as a shared resource that connects us to our communities and the environment.
It's a powerful shift in perspective, moving from like individual consumption to uh, collective responsibility. And speaking of shifting perspectives, how does education fit into this future we're envisioning? Will we still have traditional classrooms and standardized tests?
Education is another area that's ripe for disruption. Imagine a world where learning is personalized, decentralized, and focused on practical skills that are constantly updated to reflect the ever evolving job market.
So instead of spending years getting a degree that might be obsolete by graduation, you'd acquire like specific skills and certifications as needed. It's like a customized learning journey tailored to your individual interests and goals.
Exactly. Think micro credentials, online courses, virtual apprenticeships, all accessible anytime, anywhere, and tailored to your unique learning style.
And imagine global collaborative learning platforms where students from around the world connect in real time to solve problems and conduct experiments. It's like a worldwide network of knowledge sharing and innovation.
It paints a picture of a future where learning is a continuous and collaborative process, driven by curiosity and a thirst for knowledge rather than um, traditional academic structures. It's about embracing lifelong learning and adaptability in a world where, change is the only constant.
This is all incredibly fascinating. But I have to admit, it's a lot to take in. Are there any like specific predictions or trends from the materials that we reviewed that really jumped out at you?
Yeah, a few things really caught my attention. First, the idea that harmful practices like smoking could become completely socially unacceptable, not just through laws, but through a combination of technology and evolving social norms.
So it's not just about banning cigarettes. It's about like creating a culture where smoking is seen as, well, just plain strange.
Exactly. And biotechnology might play a role too. Imagine gene therapies or implants that make it biologically uncomfortable to smoke, or enhance your body's natural detoxification mechanisms. It's about shifting from willpower to a more holistic approach to well being, where technology and social values work together to promote healthier choices.
It's like we're moving towards a future where harmful behaviors are addressed, not just through, like, punishment, but through a deeper understanding of uh, biology and behavior change.
Another fascinating trend is the potential decline of traditional marriage. As we discussed earlier, AI companions and fluid partnerships might become more common, leading to more flexible relationship contracts that prioritize individual needs and evolving life goals.
So it's a shift away from the till death do us part model towards a more adaptable approach to relationships where individual growth and fulfillment are, like, paramount.
Precisely. And it's not just about romantic relationships. The concept of family itself might evolve with chosen families, multi-generational households, and communal living arrangements becoming more accepted, even preferred. It's about recognizing that the traditional nuclear family is just one model among many. And people are free to create the support systems that best suit their needs and values.
It's like we're expanding our definition of family to encompass a wider range of connections and, like, chosen bonds. What other trends stood out to you?
Well, given declining birth rates in many parts of the world, we might see increased migration and even the emergence of population exchange programs where countries with aging populations partner with those with younger demographics to create mutually beneficial exchanges of knowledge and
It's
resources.
like a global talent swap driven by demographic shifts and the need for a more balanced population distribution. What a fascinating concept. What else?
Finally, the idea of synthetic food becoming the norm really struck me. Imagine a world where lab grown meat, plant based alternatives, and bioengineered foods completely replaced traditional farming.
So no more factory farms or vast fields of monoculture crops. That would be like a radical shift in how we produce and consume food.
Exactly. We could produce food more sustainably, ethically, and even personalize it to individual needs. Imagine having like a little bioreactor in your kitchen that creates perfectly balanced meals based on your DNA and health goals.
Okay, now that's a future I could definitely get behind. It sounds like we're on the brink of some truly transformative changes that could reshape not just our lives, but our values and how we see the world.
Mm.
It's both exhilarating and a bit overwhelming to think about all the possibilities and challenges that lie ahead.
Yeah, it really makes you think. It's interesting as we've, gone through all this research, like I'm struck by how all of these changes are interconnected. The same technologies that could lead to like personalized medicine and synthetic food could also raise questions about genetic engineering, artificial consciousness. It's a complex web of possibilities and challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about isolated advancements. It's a convergence of technology and ideas that have the potential to, really reshape our world. And it's important that we have these conversations now while these technologies are still developing so that, we can kind of guide their development in a direction that aligns with our values.
Hmm.
I think that's a really good point. We're not like, passive passengers on this journey to the future. We're active participants,
Yeah.
shaping the world we want to live in. And that brings us back to you, dear listener. As we wrap up this deep dive into the future of human values, we want to leave you with a few thought-provoking questions.
Yeah, how would these changes affect your life, your relationships, your career? What aspects of this future excite you and what concerns you? What values would you, prioritize as we navigate these uncharted waters?
I mean, would you embrace a world of, merged consciousness and AI companions? Or would you try to preserve traditional values of individuality and human connection? I mean,
Yeah.
would you welcome a future where biotechnology blurs the lines between human and machine? Or would you advocate for a more cautious approach, emphasizing the importance of our biological heritage?
And ultimately, what role do you want to play in shaping this future? Because the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create collectively through our choices, our actions, and the conversations we have today.
We hope that this deep dive has opened your mind to the incredible possibilities and, the complex challenges that lie ahead. The future is a canvas waiting to be painted. We each have a brushstroke to contribute. So keep questioning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep imagining the future you want to be a part of. To till next time, keep those minds open and those imaginations firing.